The deal to keep the government open finances roughly 20% of the federal government through January 19th, and the remaining 80% until February 2nd. So they've kicked the can down the road to early next year. How likely, though, is it that the House will be forced to pass appropriation bills that originated in and passed out of the Senate on a bipartisan basis?
That is the big question. And listen, I've been talking to a lot of House Republicans, and they know that this just tees up an incredibly difficult fight for January and, of course, February, where by February we can see a complete government shutdown. This new two day, two tier, however people want to describe it, approach is actually pretty significant for Mike Johnson, the new speaker. It was his proposal, kind of blending and compromising what House Republicans really wanted. But again, even though Republicans were able to pass it, it completely irritated the far right, who have now put Johnson on notice for all of these fiscal fights that will be coming up. Of course, the Senate passed this deal because they said, why not? We don't want to see the government shut down, even though this is a weird two-tier approach. But right now, there's only a couple weeks in December, of course, before the Christmas holiday, and only several weeks until that first January 19th deadline. And what Republicans, Democrats want to see are House and Senate appropriators meeting, discussing, and trying to create these compromise bills that the Senate has already more or less marked up in a bipartisan basis. We just haven't seen that happen in the House. So, even to your point, if the Senate were to pass a significant number of their appropriation bills, it ultimately comes down to Speaker Johnson. Does he put those compromised bills on the floor? And what does the far right do? We have already seen Johnson decide to kind of circumvent the far right's demands because they were going to sink the short term extension funding bill. He said, we're going to try and pass this in a different way with the help of Democrats. A bipartisan solution. That's why you see the government funded now. But that far right, when they get mad, we've seen what they've been able to do in the past.